Hello, welcome to the second video. I can't believe that they're so long. I'm so sorry. You must be wondering why I can't just make things succinct. I don't know. I just can't. I do apologise for holding you up. If you are bothering to watch these, I'm sorry that they're so long and involved. I should just be skipping through them and whizzing through, but I can't because I get rather involved in the details of things. And here we are with a Yule rebirth of the sun. We're looking at, we've just come back to look at this magazine illustrations. Remember, we're looking at the illustrations for these. Part 1 of the video covered those, and now we're on part 2. Yeah, so this is a celebration of Yule winter solstice with a kind of modern take on the myth. Mistletoe and snowflakes. I would have particularly liked doing this one because it's my favourite time of year, but there you are. I did enjoy doing all of them. Do we need to just focus on them? Yes, that's rather nice. But again, the copy is dreadful, so they're all a bit fuzzy wuzzy. And this one has gone green. I don't think it was ever this green. It's another spell working with the candle and the companion beings or sprites or fey beings or whoever they are helping. And there's some hawthorn and ribbon for the spell. Because as I explained in part 1 of these videos, I was the person that illustrated all the kind of Wiccan witchy stuff. Or pagan, let's just call it pagan stuff, things, articles in the magazine. And there's an Easter basket, which has not printed very well, but there you go, a magical book. You can see that a bit more closely because it's very small and very detailed. As I explained, I'm now working in watercolour, so looking back at these I'm thinking, goodness, I did work very finely. I think that was years of using the rotring pen and sort of dibbling away with the tiny dots for the shading. I got used to working very tightly and small, and sometime after this I started to get big canvases and kind of challenge myself by doing big things, but at this stage I was still doing very small pieces. Obviously that is a winter chalice. Can't really see much more about that at the moment, really. Didn't really ever like the figures in that one, but they were the figures that went with the border that we looked in the first video. I didn't really, they were okay. The deer is nice, but oh, there's a little unseen being. See how you can see how the everyday enchantment deck evolved from this, because all those elements are here already. Although it didn't come, I mean, it probably started around this time because it took 10 years or so to come to fruition, but I hadn't actually, I don't think I'd really started on it properly at this point because the style wasn't quite there yet. But you can see where it would be there soon, I think. Here is another border, another spell. This print is terrible, it's really fuzzy. I wish I'd have got a decent printer. I think maybe you get them and you don't know how they're going to be until it's too late because you've already opened it and started printing with it. You can't just take it back and say this is not good enough if it's not broken. So I probably just ended up stuck with what I had. Anyway, that will be a spell border. Sorry. Carry on from part 1 video. I still feel like I'm being bitten on the leg by something. I was sitting outside earlier, so I think I maybe have an ant in my leggings or something like that. There we go. Absolutely pointless piece of information. This, let's go back to the work. This is obviously a spell border. It has a book, it has incense, it has candles, it has a bowl of salt. There's all sorts of runes and details, but the print is terrible. This print is a lot nicer. This is, again, is obviously some sort of spell working. See if we can get nice and close. We've got crystals, we've got... I would imagine they specified everything they wanted in the border, because some of these things aren't things I would naturally put in myself. We have a theme, we have a cauldron, lots of ribbon tying everything together. We have a bell and a knotted cord and a chalice and some sort of shaker for doing magical working. And moving on, we have... what is this, kind of a harvest platter thing? I think this probably went with one of the illustrations in the first video. I'm so close to it. Yes, there's obviously some sort of harvest. Those flowers are really... Sorry. I don't want to get... How did I do that? They're tiny. Well, there you go. Working very small and tightly. Yes, obviously, again, some sort of magical working. If I get close, you can see the paper that I explained, that I create the watercolour paper with speckles, and the speckles of colour would echo the colours that I was going to use in the piece, obviously, so you get that kind of nice individualism to each illustration. Oh yeah, this border is really... it's too dark, the print is terrible. You can see the acorns quite clearly, they're nice. It's a border of autumn fruits, and there we have a lovely snail. We get a bit, there we go. If I go too close to him, does he go out of focus? No, he doesn't. So you can see some of the detailing. There's a cone, berries. And yeah, I think we'll leave that one there. Not many in this one, I don't think. Yes, I think here, no, I haven't. I'll show you the magazine things in a minute. This would be an Immortal Border, and I think we've seen that with the person, have we? I think we have, but I'm not sure. Sorry, being bitten again. It's sort of a web and very early spring flowers and budding branches and celandine and crocus. Let's come up. It's nice. It's a nice one. That's very badly printed, so obviously another one for... It looks like a hot cross bun, and it's got hawthorn, so it must be spring themed, and it's got two fey beings holding the ribbon. You can see how I progressed from doing the fey beings, the kind of style, to how that changed in the everyday deck. They're kind of more standard fairy looking, whereas mine became sort of more energetic beings, as in beings of energy. That's quite self-explanatory, I think. Oh, this is lovely, but the print's terrible. When I say lovely, I'm not praising myself. I'm just pleased with it. It works well. It's nice. It's an attractive thing with the mushrooms and the pumpkins. Little being staring out there. Can you see? Here. Very, very involved. The being. Feather. Nuts and apples, obviously a kind of October-y themed. Some little being peeking out there. There you go. Agaric mushrooms. There you go. This one isn't in the magazine, so I can show you how bright this one is. It's a moon themed one, I think. A lunar themed spell working one. It's got silver birch and white candles, crystals and moon phases. Yes, a triangular shaped one. I don't know why they wanted a triangle, but there you go. It's a challenge. It's got Celtic knot work, border, ivy, salt in the corner, moon, and the pentacle at the bottom, and the candles. I wish I could show you all these for longer, but I'm already on 10 minutes, would you believe it? Time flies when you're being poppy, talking about things. Anyway, there is a corn dolly in a basket. Is it? I don't know. Why has it got crocuses? I'm not sure what's going on there, or what they wanted, but it's quite nicely done. The weaving of the basket, snowdrops, autumn themed jug and leaves. That would have been much brighter colours than the print there. That's just a page of odd bits of, I don't know what they were destined for. There's a sickle with a very realistic looking wooden handle, and various mistletoe and I don't know what that was for. Sorry, let's move on. This was trying to raise a spiral or cone of power. Difficult thing to illustrate, really. Not the most charming looking illustration, but I think it serves its point. Where are we now? That would be showing you how I would sketch out the border before it was transferred onto the paper, with the watercolour paper with all the ink, the coloured, you know what I'm saying, this stuff here, the watercolour paper where things get, the finished piece gets created on. That must be some sort of musical spell, because there is a treble clef and a note there. I don't know what that was. Oh, there it is a bit more clearly. Glastonbury torte and a pie, of course. Don't ask me, I haven't got a clue, but apparently that there pie and Glastonbury tour go together brilliantly well in their article. And I was actually living in Glastonbury at the time, so that's fine by me. Anyway, I'm not going to cover all of this because I don't like how I did it, but I will show you the little bit at the bottom. The fox and the little red squirrel. It's very nice. Tiny little squirrel. Right, that print is just appalling, so we can't look at that. That was obviously another idea for 4 of Cups, which is terribly boring. And we have 2 versions of some, that must be sort of Halloween Samhain Savine themed thing again, with the duck and apples in the bowl. And right, so now let's look at some of the actual pieces. Now, in one of my earlier art archive videos, I showed you this and said I didn't know where it was in the magazine, but I showed you the original, or a copy of the original, it probably was, for this. It is a seasonal celebration calendar, and I created appropriate sections. Now you can see that paper that I used in the background there quite clearly. I never did that after I did these illustrations. I don't know why. I just stopped doing it, moved into a different style. But I used to think it worked quite well. Just whizzing around quite quickly. All the seasons. It's got a nice Celtic knot band going round it. It has a Venus of Willendorf, and yes, and then it has a kind of it has various wheels to it. These are sort of leaves and acorns, and then the next concentric ring has got wildflowers and a Sheila and a gig at the top, and there's a nice cone there. Let's go there, and in the centre we've got representatives of each season and the astrological symbols, and autumnal I'm not sure why that one is like that. Anyway, there you go. There is the actual thing in the magazine. Your seasonal celebration calendar. I hope you can see all that. I wish I could spend a long time on that because it's got a lot of very small detail in it, and we're just whizzing along. Anyway, so that's that. There's probably more of my things in there, but I can't be waving pieces of paper at you all the time, can I? Right. This is the calendar of Earth's fertility deities, and these are my borders. How they would look. How bright they were. If I just stand back from there, you can see how bright those pages were. Whereas the prints I've been showing you have been really kind of... Oh, look at that. Poof! It's really bright and bold. Which is nice for me to be able to show you how they actually looked. They were really vivid. And not how my printer created them. Don't think we saw this one. So we'll have a look at it. Or if we did, it wasn't in very... No, I don't think we did see this one at all. Anyway, that's how they used some of those illustrations. It's nice to see. Right, well, how am I doing this? Oh, here's the moon one, which I said came out really nicely. It's so... The colours are very lush, I think. Become lovely and purple. And that's how it looked, really. So very pleased with that. That is on the page called Drawing Down the Moon. And that is another one of my little illustrations at the bottom there. So the way they presented this magazine was really pretty. It was lovely. It was a pleasure to be a part of it. Here's another one. One of mine for the magic of witchcraft, rituals. I think they picked people that they thought were sort of not specialists, but you know, had a sort of background in this, so that they knew what they were doing. There was different people picked to write the articles. We were all kind of allotted from the magazine starting off. We were all allotted our particular roles, and that's what we had to stay in. So that this is what I was given as my role, and really that's okay because they worked out really well for me, because I got to include all the elements of things that I like to do. So that's how bright and bold that one looked. Where are we up to? God, 18 minutes. There's the triangle border, but they've obscured quite a lot of it with some salt. That's another one of my little illustrations at the bottom. Understanding the Power of Three, that was called. That's why it's a triangle. What's this one here for? I don't know. Just quickly. It's my spring border. Look at that. Look how bright that is. Spring equinox. It really does pop. You can see the turquoise now and how vivid everything was and how alive it looks compared to my print. And that's my illustration at the bottom of the hair. And you can see clearly in the background there, you can see my painty paper that I was working on. I do like this one, it's very nice. I think I did a good job. This one is very vivid. I know that I'm going to have to shut up in a minute, so just whiz through these two. Incredibly vivid. Hazelnuts, magical astrological symbols. This is choosing your witch name, so I don't know, they must have asked me to include certain elements for their article. That's how they used it, the border. And that's one of my little illustrations at the bottom there. And finally, for now, yes, there's the Immortal one. Celebrating Immortal. And you can see again how bright, come on focus please, how bright and clear and crisp those illustrations are, as opposed to my silly prints which were fuzzy wuzzies. I have just said that, and I'm sure that was some derogatory term, so please don't think that I'm in I'm really great at putting my foot in it. That's the end of this video. Sorry, I'm going now. Goodbye.